One of the more common questions I get these days is, Michael, Andrew, what is the difference between a 5D Mark II versus a 7D? They're both excellent cameras. I don't want anybody to feel that I'm ripping on one camera over the other, because I own both of these cameras and I've been using them since they first came out. The Canon 5D Mark II is a phenomenal camera. The main difference that you're getting with this camera is a full frame sensor. And when I say that, what I mean is the digital sensor is about the size of a 35mm frame of film. The Canon 7D sensor is a little bit smaller, and the result of having a full frame sensor on your camera is that you are going to have more shallow depths of field. And what this means is, if you like to shoot at, using very wide apertures like 1.2 or 1.4, it means your backgrounds are going to be more blurry and more buttery and more beautiful if you're into portrait photography. The second most important thing that the 5D Mark II has that the 7D does not have is manual audio input for video. This is a very, very important thing, because the 7D and the Rebels that record video now, they have a preamp built into the camera. A preamp essentially takes the audio signal coming into the camera and boosts the signal. And because there's no way to control this, this can be a problem on some digital SLR cameras, because your talent will be talking or communicating, and then when they pause, the camera thinks, hey, the signal's too weak, I'm gonna boost the signal, and it gets loud, and then when they start talking, it's just way too loud, okay? And there's no way to control that fluctuation. Not so with the Canon 5D Mark II. The recent firmware update not only corrected the true 30 frames per second, which no camera does up until the 5D Mark II came out, the firmware update fixed that to shoot at 29.97 frames per second, and it also included an upgrade that will allow you to control the amount of gain coming into the camera, so it's not fluctuating as much. So what I'm trying to say is, for that extra $900, portrait photographers are going to really, really love that sensor. Another great benefit of having a full frame sensor is that the color sampling typically tends to be a little bit more accurate. Take a look at these pictures I took when the 7D came out. I went out and did some extensive tests using the exact same picture styles and the exact same camera settings, and I took pictures in different tints and different shades of light to see if there were any problems. Now, I don't know if it's been fixed in any of the updates, but when I took the Canon 7D out, I noticed that there was it was just slightly off on greens and just slightly off on some of the reds. All the other colors look pretty good. Most normal people are not going to notice these differences, and in a lot of cases you can actually fix it either in camera using picture styles or in post-processing. So for that extra $900, what you're getting is a larger sensor, which gives you more buttery backgrounds, better color, and you're also getting better video options in terms of the audio controls. Another test that I did on the 7D when it first came out, comparing it with the 5D Mark II, was an ISO test. And what I learned was that up to about 1600, the cameras perform pretty much about the same. After 1600, there was more visible noise in the 7D. The Canon 7D, in my opinion, is a better all-round, all-purpose camera. And I need to explain what I mean by that. The first thing that you get with the 7D is you get 8 frames per second. Okay, it's very, very fast in terms of the number of shots that you can take. The 5D and the 5D Mark II are about 4 frames per second. So the 7D is much faster. Another thing that you get with the 7D is you get the improved focusing systems, which are really outstanding. It's the best focusing system I've seen on a Canon camera. Not talking about the super high-end cameras. Another thing that I've noticed is that the metering systems are greatly improved, okay? I hope they have the focusing system and the metering system in the next version of the 5D, because they're amazing. They're so much better now. As a portrait camera, the 7D is an awesome camera. I think for most, even semi-pros, it's going to be more than enough for portrait photography. I use it for portrait photography all the time. Just because I think the 5D Mark II is a little bit better doesn't mean that the 7D it's amazing. It is. It's an amazing camera. And you know, when I went to Haiti for 3 weeks, the camera that I took was the 7D. I left the 5D Mark II at home because I felt I was getting better versatility with the 7D. So for those of you who are on a budget, okay, maybe you don't have that extra $1,000, the 7D, bang for your buck, is one of the best cameras on the market right now. And so, you know, I've thrown out a lot of information there, and what I'm saying is, first of all, they're both great cameras, but the people who are interested in high-end portrait work, people who are shooting portraits 2 or 3 times a week, or people who are doing professional video. I don't know if you guys know this, but the opening sequence, Saturday Night Live, that was shot on a 5D Mark II. The television series 24, that is being shot on a 5D Mark II. So what I'm saying is, if you specialize in video, and you have that extra cash, or you specialize in portrait photography, and you have that extra cash, you're going to be more happy with the 5D Mark II. Now, if you're on a budget, which most of us are these days, the 7D is more than enough camera. You can have a very great portrait business. You can have a good video business using this camera. I'm not ripping on the 7D. It's a phenomenal camera. I get a lot of questions here on YouTube, so if you guys have questions about camera gear or photography, or there's something I haven't answered, feel free to shoot me an email and ask me a question. If it's a good question, we'll definitely make a video on it. I'm Michael Andrew, and thank you for watching.
If you found this video helpful, you may be interested in my new DVD, Canon 7D Crash Course, which has over 3.5 hours of helpful lessons. I'll teach you the basics to get you started to great photography and video in no time. It can be ordered from the following link.